Matthew Moore's Wood Studios. Today is Tuesday, July 19th, which means it's time for another weekly shop update. Woo! So, what's been going on in the shop this week? Well, these extensions have been going on, as well as a whole bunch of finishing on the base. But before we get to that, I have a couple of quick things. Number one, I get on a plane tomorrow, and I'm not sure what day this update will get up, but as soon as I can, it will be up. All right, so let's get into it. Well, as you can see, the table is here in front of me again, and there's an extension over here. But before I got to this, actually last week, I did a whole bunch of work inside the house. So I didn't have enough room here to do the finishing for the base and work on the tabletop at the same time, let alone really walk around the shop. Now to finish this table, I use Rockler's San Maloof oil poly finish. Now what's really important about this finish is you need to make sure to leave time for it to dry. So the first thing you do is you put it on and then you wipe it off, and about a half hour later you wipe down that piece again because there will be some of that finish creeping up through the pores. If you can, come back another half hour later and wipe it down again, and then let it sit overnight. 24 hours is preferable, and then you can apply your second coat. And that's what I did for 3 coats on the base so far. And here at the tabletop, the big work for this past couple of weeks or week has been focused on the tabletop extensions. To start this work, I mill up a whole bunch of lumber, and I make sure that all of this is as close to quarter sawn as possible. With these milled up, my next step is to cut away a section of each piece to create an L. And the pieces end up looking something like this. So these are the ones that attach to the underside of the extensions, and there's shorter ones that attach to the underside of the tabletop. And what ends up happening is you get 2 L-shaped pieces, and as together, they just slide. And this locks everything in because you can't push down and you can't go this way, so that gets a nice lock. And the big thing about this is the grain direction and the fitting. So I try to have it so the grain is expanding and contracting horizontally much more so than it is vertically. I make sure when I do my final placement that there is some gap. And then over here, once I've milled up these pieces, now I milled up the tabletops for the tops for the extensions on my jointer. I got a 12-inch wide jointer, and I did that because I didn't have any material at that time that I wanted to flatten and bring down to the same thickness using the jig that I use to flatten and thickness the tabletops themselves. So once I milled these guys up on my jointer planer combo machine, they were long, and that was on purpose. I wanted to be able to come over here and find where I wanted to cut material away on both sides to cut them to length. Because part of this whole process is you're going to, at least for me, I'm following the shape of the live edge slab into these extensions. So I want to figure out where I want to start and end here. And something like really cool over here is I've got this great curve in this piece, and I actually spent some time to line up this curve to the grain pattern in the 2 slabs right here. So at the table saw, I try to take an angle off of the actual piece itself that gets me close to the angle that is in nature from the slabs. And then I cut that material away, and I slowly move back with a series of hand planes to the lines that I traced from my tabletop to the extensions. Now, at the same time, since I'm not using live edge pieces here for the extension tops, like I have for the table I have in my house, what I ended up doing was I beveled back the end about 10 degrees to give it that feel that it's like a live edge slab as well. I did that for both sides. And of course, you've got to get these guys fitted, but you don't get them fitted until you actually surface prep them. So at the bench, I surface prepped these with a plane, and then I had to completely surface prep the ones for the bottom and get them attached. With those attached, and just like before when I put the supports on, I drilled pilot holes that are wider than the screws to allow the screws to move with the expansion and contraction of the tabletop itself. It's very important. So I'm looking for a fit where it's not loose, it's not incredibly tight, but it just takes a little bit of work to push them in. At that point, then you can attach the tabletop to the actual extension runners themselves. And that was such a great thing because once you get those guys attached, you can check it out for the first time. And that felt fantastic. So I've got one done, one more to do on the other side. Again, I've got to go away, but I'll get it done once I get back. And then after that, all I need to do is clean up the top of this tabletop, chamfer some edges, that sanding for cleaning up the top, some sanding on the extensions, and it's going to be time to put finish on this bad boy. So my question of the week to you guys is this: how would you have attached these extensions to this tabletop? I'm curious, I want to know, leave those answers in the comments below. So that's it for this week. As always, please subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, and hit that thumbs up button if you like this video. If you're watching this on Facebook, hit the like button, share it in your timeline, and head over to the Wood Studio page and like us there as well. And as always, have a great week in the shop.